So, hi there, welcome back to Nuskas with Anushka, where every story matters and every connection counts. This episode is a shout out for the students and parents who are exploring financial aids for higher education, for aspiring entrepreneurs looking to start up or scale up their startups, for educators and academic professionals who guide students finding scholarships, for tech enthusiasts who are basically interested in tech, and of course, the audience in general with an interest in education. Today, I am thrilled to have a trailblazing entrepreneur who has redefined the edtech landscape. As a Dubai based co founder and a CEO of Secure My Scholarship, he has helped thousands of students secure over $9.5 million dollars in scholarships and has raised over $1.2 million dollars for a startup at a valuation of $6 million. Dollars. Crazy, right? He was also the mastermind behind Lock&Stock, the UAE's largest student lifestyle platform. He has been featured in Forbes 30 under 30, Arabian Business, and the CNN, among few others. In this episode, we'll explore his entrepreneurial journey, the challenges of building the startup, and the future of education in the edtech space. Let's welcome Craig Fernandes. Hi, Craig. Welcome to Nuskas with Anushka.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Glad to be here. Hi Anushka. Thanks for having me. And it's my pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. It's even our pleasure that we could do this together. And I'm super excited for what's coming ahead. So, Craig, tell us, like, have you always been from a family background, like a family business background? And what made you choose this career path?
That's a great question. I actually do not come from a family business background or anything of the such. I come from a typical middle class, or maybe even lower middle class, if you can describe it as such. But it's typical middle class family where both my parents worked. I was an only child. I am an only child. Both my parents worked. They were both salaried employees, and actually everybody in my family has been a salaried employee, all of that stuff. And that's kind of like how, or that was my environment while growing up. But I think, I don't know, I actually always wanted to just, solve problems. I liked solving problems. And, the objectives were always different. I launched my first company actually when I was 14 years old. And yeah, I mean, we weren't looking to change the world or anything like that. I mean, I was 14 and it was me and some friends. We were in high school and we were broke and we just needed cash. So we launched our first company. I launched my first company when I was 14 years old. It did pretty well, made a decent amount of money, and that was great. And so, whatever, I think I've always just had a passion for solving problems and figuring out like solutions, figuring out what people want but they don't quite have and what they're willing to pay for, and then building ventures around it. Now, whether they're very small ventures or multi-million dollar companies, it really all boils down to the same thing. Can you solve problems? And I feel like I've always had a knack for that. So that's one aspect. But I think just circling back to your question as well, when I was in college, and a lot of people, I think, when they're in college, they're studying a degree, they're doing their bachelor's degree or whatever. And a question that they're always asked is, what do you want to do once you graduate? Where do you want to work? What do you want to do? All of
Yeah.
that stuff. And I actually always wanted to do something that, I was passionate about, something that I actually genuinely cared about. Frankly speaking, I do it for free as well. Like, it's okay. Like, I would have done it for free, but I wanted to love the work that I did. And I think that just led me down an inevitable path towards founding Lock and Stock first. We founded Lock and Stock 3 months after I graduated from university, so straight out of college. Literally, I was working on the concept and the designs while I was in my final year. And yeah, they just naturally led me down a path to lock and stock, and then on and on from there, secure my scholarship, etc., etc., etc. The concept of doing something day in day out that I didn't truly love scared me, and I just didn't want to do that. And yeah, I guess that's how I became a founder, became an entrepreneur, whatever term you want to use.
Great. So, I mean, like you said, that you are not, I mean, you're not coming from a family business background,
Not at
and
all.
getting this stuff up and building such an amazing business, I mean, hats off to you for that. Because, like, I mean, I know people who've been like in their family businesses, having big family businesses, and still not able to cope up, at such big amounts of capital and stuff that you've raised, and you're doing great on that part. But if you can just give us, like you said, that Lock and Stock was like your first baby after you graduated.
Yeah,
And
first real
what was
company,
it? Give
basically.
us, yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a student lifestyle platform,
Mhm.
like I introduced it. And if you could give us some insights into what it was, and if that was such a success, like why did you decide to shift your focus to secure my scholarship?
Awesome, awesome. Really taking me back through time. I think rolling back the years.
Yeah.
Lock and Stock was a student lifestyle platform, but it was actually so much more than that. And I'll tell you about how I got the idea for Lock and Stock as well. I was a college student when I got the idea. I was in my final year of university. I was an economics student, and I don't get me wrong, I love economics. I think it's great, very, very interesting. But every once in a while, it can get a little mundane or a little boring or whatever. So
Been
I
there.
actually happened to be in class one day, sometime during my final year. I think it was like November or December or something like that. And I was in an economics classroom, and there were maybe 25 or 30 kids in that class, whatever. And it was kind of a boring class or a boring lecture. And so I was, like everybody else in the classroom, I was actually using my phone and just whatever, just like waiting for the class to end. And I was on WhatsApp, and like when you're on WhatsApp, it says online on WhatsApp, so whatever.
Yeah.
So I was online on WhatsApp. I was using WhatsApp, and my dad came to message me, and I think he was probably coming to say good night or something like that, because I was studying in the U.S. and he lived in Dubai. My family lives in Dubai, so it was like 12 hours away. So I think he was coming to say good night or something. But he comes to message me, and he sees that I'm online. So then he's like, like, why are you online? Like, shouldn't you be in class right now? Like, what are you doing? And I was like, yeah, you know what? It's okay. Like, I'm already doing pretty well in this class. I'm getting an A. It's okay. It's fine. No problem. And then he just kind of like takes off, right? And then he's just like, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. You're wasting my money. What are you doing? We kind of go back and forth.
Typical parents.
Yeah, I'm sure. So we kind of go
Yeah.
back and forth for a little bit, and finally I just say, okay, it's fine. Like, I'll give you what you want, and I put my phone aside. And I don't know what happened. Like, in that moment, it was kind of like a light bulb just went off, because I put my phone aside and I looked around the classroom, and I kid you not, man. Like, out of the 25, 30 kids in that classroom, each and every single one of them was on their phone or on their tablet or on their laptop or whatever, and nobody was paying attention. Everyone's just looking down, doing their own thing. And the poor professor is talking and talking and talking, and that's literally what's happening in this classroom. And I saw this, and I was just like, man, like, okay, like this is a problem. Like, I don't know, like, this seems like a problem. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I went home that day and did a bunch of research, and eventually, after searching and searching and searching, I began reading more about this like phenomenon called digital addiction or social media addiction. And keep in mind, like, this is 2017, so people don't really know that much about like the cons of social media or things like that as much as they do now. There weren't any like screen time apps, and Apple hadn't launched its screen time feature or whatever. So I'm doing my research, and I kind of find more and more about this, like, this phenomenon. And I kind of say to myself, okay, like, this is a real problem. uh can we solve it, right? So how do you solve the problem of people using their phones in class? You can't just tell people, okay, here's an application that will keep you off your phone. That's boring. No one will use that. Like that's the same thing as the professor saying, put your phone aside. No one will listen, right? So how do we kind of do that? And so it's kind of brainstorming with my like flatmates at the time. It's kind of like brainstorming. We were talking about like like different like potential ideas. Um, and also, I mean, keep in mind again, like we're college students, so we're broke. And so one of the guys kind of says, he's like, if you gave me 50% off at like the Papa John's, I'd keep my phone aside. And that was brilliant. I mean, we were all just like, okay, that's kind of interesting,
Right.
right? Like a 50% off at the Papa
Yeah.
John's. Another guy was like, yeah, I wouldn't do it for Papa John's, but I'd do it for like a buy one, get one at Starbucks or something. Yeah, I'd keep my phone aside, no problem. 30 minutes, no problem. Um, and that was it, right? Like that was like a eureka moment. And we took that and we ran with it. I graduated from university in May of 2017. And 3 months later, in September of 2017, we launched. We launched the platform on September 24th, 2017, with 0 users and 13 partner brands. Uh, Within 6 months, we had about 10,000 students on the platform, and we had about 200 partner brands. Within a year, or a year after that, so about a year and a half after we had launched, we had about like 80,000 students on the platform. We had 1,000 plus partner brands. I think we peaked at 1,500 partner brands on the platform, 80,000 students. And it was this crazy like ecosystem community that kind of like built just from word of mouth and like snowball effect in essence. And over the over the next 2 years after we launched, we basically inadvertently built the largest student platform. There's a number of different terms you can use. You could say student lifestyle platform because students were actively looking for offers and discounts. You could say student platform because it was just a community of students. You could say digital student wellness platform because students were locking their phones. You could describe it with a number of different monikers. I mean, we didn't really fit into one like description, but within 2 years or so, we had built this massive, massive ecosystem that till date is the largest ever student platform ever built in Dubai. It was incredible. It's been over 3 years since we kind of pivoted away from Lock and Stock, but just this last weekend, I was talking at this one event. I had to speak at this one event in Dubai. And I kind of introduced myself and I said, co-founder Secure My Scholarship. Okay, that's awesome. And then co-founder Lock and Stock before. And like 3 people from the audience just went Lock and Stock. Damn, you were the guy behind Lock and Stock. And so it's still kind of got this like charm or this hold in terms of just recall and just how much people loved it from back when it
Right.
was around. It was amazing, honestly. But I think like Lock and Stock kind of ran its course, and it ran its course for two main reasons. Number one, it was very, very difficult to scale Lock and Stock. And when I mean scale Lock and Stock, uh, the application kind of was built around this hyper localized kind of promotion. So you needed to have offers and discounts available for people to lock their phones, use the application, all of that stuff. And not just any offers and discounts. I mean, you had to have offers and discounts that were right around the corner or in the neighborhood mall that people could actually use. Which means that like we had a lot of users in Dubai and some users in, I guess, surrounding cities in the UAE. But the further you went from Dubai or like a core nucleus of Dubai, the further you went, the fewer and fewer users we had. And if you went outside the UAE, you went to like, if you looked at our numbers from like Oman or Bahrain or dare I say India, our users just tailed off completely. I mean, we would have people downloading the application from different countries, but I mean, they couldn't use the application or they didn't use the application because there were no offers available for them. So, I mean, like it just wouldn't scale, right? How do we scale that? We have to go to a new city, get 1,000 new partners, then go to another city, then go to another
Yeah.
city, then go to another city. That just doesn't work, right? That's going to take 30 years to
Right.
build. So that was one big problem that we faced. But more than that, and I think like separately or independently from that, uh, as Lock and Stock kind of grew, we basically introduced new things for students to do on the application. So we began with just offers and discounts, and that was awesome. And then after a certain while, we added jobs and internships, where we basically just asked ourselves, what do students want? And then we introduced more and more for them. So we added jobs and internships. That was the second thing that we introduced. And then we introduced scholarships and fee waivers. That was the third thing that we introduced. Now, all of these things kind of operated in parallel for a while. And, that was cool. That was awesome. But it reached a point where actually just like one day, I think somebody from our team was just going through our data, and they're just running through user data, just analyzing like usage and behavior and all of that stuff on the platform, and they stumbled upon something very, very interesting. What they found was that people were downloading the application, using the application for no other purpose than to just apply for those scholarships that we had and fee waivers that we
Oh,
had. And
okay.
that was very, very interesting, right? Because unlike offers or discounts, or internships, I suppose, scholarships are borderless, right? Because you could be a student in South Korea and want to study in
Right.
America, or you could be a student in India and want to study in the UK, or it doesn't matter, right? It's borderless. So you had all these students from different places around the world downloading the application and using it just to apply for scholarships, which was very, very interesting. And I guess scholarships and higher education is just something that kind of appealed to me personally, as well as our founding team, our senior team. And so when we saw this, it kind of just went hand in hand. We said, okay, fine. This part of the platform scales, and we have an opportunity to do something amazing, truly transformative. Uh, the work that we did with Lock and Stock was incredible. I mean, in the 4 years that Lock and Stock was around, we accounted for over 2 million years of total time spent offline. That's time that we put back in the hands of teachers, professors, educators, and students themselves, truly enhancing the learning process. And that was
Right.
amazing. But as
Truly.
great as helping students stay off their phones is, the chance to help a student afford university is just so much bigger and so much more life changing, that we said to ourselves, okay, like, let's pivot, let's shift our energy. The two platforms kind of operated simultaneously for a while, but eventually just reached a point where Secure My Scholarship was outgrowing Lock and Stock in terms of global reach, global appeal, and what it could do. And we said to ourselves, okay, let's just focus on Secure My Scholarship, and let's kind of like wind down operations for Lock and Stock. And that's what we did.
Wow, that's an amazing story that you've told us. And I think for Lock and Stock, you got to thank your economics teacher and your dad.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I thank them. I say a silent thank you to them. I think every anniversary,
Yeah.
when it comes up. Yeah.
I know. I mean, it's such a basic thing. And actually, if I got to say, you were actually solving your own problem, Craig, there when you got up Lock and Stock, because like you were online and like you got a really good scolding from your dad to be online when you were in the class. So, but
Yeah,
amazing, yeah. It's
absolutely.
damn
Absolutely.
cool.
I mean, I sometimes thought to myself, like, like I would be like, man, I wish I was a student when Lock and Stock was around. I mean, staying off
Yeah,
your phone, that's awesome, but man, I was broke in college. So those offers and discounts would have been amazing. Like, I wish I was a student, honestly. But
I
yeah,
know this is such a great source of motivation for all these students. I mean, you're getting to study also, and plus you're getting great discounts also. So it's a big time win-win both ways.
absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. But that was a great story, and I think it was a great. I think great ideas stem from like very basic things. Like you said, you really need to find the gaps and the problem, and that comes in your basic lives. And I
Yeah,
think
I,
that's
I think
how,
it just comes from looking around you, honestly. Like there
yeah,
are problems everywhere, literally. You
right.
just have to open your eyes, I think.
Right, right. And so I mean, with you've told us the success of Lock and Stock and how it came to a stagnation point, and that's how you had to shut it and stuff. But like, I mean, I'm sure you must have learned so many lessons and so many takeaways with Lock and Stock being out there for 4 years. So, what were such lessons, which you, or experiences for that matter, which you have applied in Secure My Scholarship?
Ah, man, so much, honestly. And I think just really just life lessons and experiences. When we founded Lock and Stock, I was fresh out of college, as were many of the other like core team members. We didn't really know
Right,
anything about building a product, marketing it, finding product market fit, what to look for, building a team, other things that you don't really think of, like payroll and incentives and salary increments and all of that stuff that actually people don't talk about but are very fundamental components of building and scaling a company per se. So we didn't really know any of that stuff, and we kind of had to learn as we went along the way. And when we finally got around to building Secure My Scholarship, now we had all of those lessons that we basically learned ourselves, and we were able to apply them in a much better way, I think, making many fewer mistakes, making much fewer mistakes, and actually just doing things, I guess, quote unquote, the right way, I think.
right,
And I truly do think, honestly, man, there are classes and there are degrees nowadays, I think, that teach like entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship and all of that stuff. Like they'll teach you like a bachelor's in entrepreneurship, and there are classes on that and whatever. But I actually think a lot of that is rubbish. Honestly, I truly think that nothing. Yeah, that's my opinion. But I honestly think that nothing can teach you like the real world, and just experiencing it for yourself, going through it for yourself. And that life is the best teacher. And I think Lock and Stock was that for us. The things that we did with Secure My Scholarship and the things that we are doing, we would not have been able to do if not for the lessons that we learned while building Lock and Stock.
and I agree to you on that point that life is the greatest platform for making mistakes and learning from them. And I mean, it's the best teacher that no one can teach you like life does. And yeah, but it's great. I mean, when you already have done a lot of mistakes in your first business module, of course, I mean, I'm sure there are way less chances of, going through that same errors in the second one. The increasing, but if I have to ask you, what is like your current count of your team members for Secure My Scholarship right
Yeah,
now?
so I mean, last we actually have a new person starting on Wednesday, and that person would
Wow,
be our 26th team member at
great.
Secure My Scholarship. So yeah, I mean, fantastic. We do a lot actually with few people, but yeah, we're up to 26 today. Yeah.
So, I mean, Craig, with we've seen that education has become very commercialized these days. In especially like if I got to talk about India, it is a lot in India. I don't know the situation in UAE or the other countries,
It's everywhere,
but
honestly. It's a global phenomenon.
right. So, how do you ensure that your platform prioritizes students over profits? Because, like you said, when you started Secure My Scholarship, the kind of the audience that you were getting was huge, and it was like a social phenomenon for you, right? I mean, it was a socially appealing cause for you. So, what's your take on this?
Uh, you know, man, I think it just all stems down to just ethos and culture, I think. Um, I think we have a very robust culture in place within the company. I think we have a very clear mission in place. It's something that we talk about on every town hall, in every call, and we reference a lot at any given time. We're always talking about the mission. Our mission is to connect students with $100 million in scholarships and change the lives of 100,000 students around the world. It's the reason why we mention how many scholarships we have dispersed always, everywhere. $9.5 million. We start and end every town hall talking about that. So I think it just stems from on an organizational level, right? Now, of course, the essence of any company is to make money. I'd have an investor riot if I said otherwise. The objective of any company is to make money, but I don't think that you have to really, milk, the ecosystem or students for whatever, like all that they're worth, I guess. I do think that, socially driven, impact driven companies and profitable companies can both go side by side, as long as it's okay from a company standpoint. And I think, and I hope that everybody within the company knows that, at least, coming from me, I would not be okay if we, did the wrong thing just to make more money. I don't think that's the right thing to do, and I would not be okay with that. And if that's coming from me, then, you know, I think people will act the right way. Now, it all starts with upper management. I think if upper management says make money at all costs, then that sets in place bad business practices, bad business practices, bad, what's the word I'm looking for? It just sets in place a toxic work culture that prioritizes just make money however you can. And that's not good, right? Like, I mean, you might make a little bit more money in the short run, but in the long run, you're just going to tarnish your brand. And I think the Indian edtech industry is a great example, or is a graveyard of companies who've done that. And I don't think that's the right approach. And that's not something that we do. We want to build a company that lasts the test of time. We love the work that we do, and we love the students whose lives we impact every single day. And we are very, very proud of that. There has never been any, or at least, okay, barring maybe a few here and there, and you'll always have, I guess, some people who are upset with you or angry with you. You can't make everybody happy. It's just not possible.
Right.
But barring very, very small, few scenarios in less than 1% of cases, in the other 99%, we have a lot of very happy students and happy parents who are very happy with what we've been able to do for them and the services that we've been able to provide. And we're very proud of that.
That's amazing. And I think you guys should be proud. I mean, kind of the way that y'all have scaled up definitely shows that there is success, no doubt about that. So since you were telling me about so firstly, are y'all do you have any presence in India as well? In any
Of
university?
course. Yeah, of course. Right now, actually, we kind of operate with a twin headquarter system. So we maintain Dubai and Mumbai as our core headquarters. And I'm actually shuttling between the two of them. This year, I've been to Mumbai 7 times so far in 11 months. And so basically every other month I'm in Mumbai, sometimes twice a month. And yeah, we have a lot of people based in Mumbai and then elsewhere around India. And that's yeah, just kind of how we do things. The reason for that is very, very simple. If you're building an edtech platform or an education focused platform, whether it's K through 12 or higher education, I mean, India is the place to be, right? India is the place to be. There are a lot of people in India. And more than that, especially for what we do, which is help people connect with scholarships, help them afford to go to university. Man, every week or every month, there will be every month, every weekend, actually every other day, there will be students going through our platform who are saving 5 lakh or 10 lakh or 15 lakh or 20 lakh rupees on their higher education, to go and study master's degrees, primarily master's degrees, in the UK or in the US or wherever. And that brings down many of them. Many of the students who go through our platform, they come from tier two or tier three cities, and a lot of them are funding their education through education loans, and because of us, they're able to cut the amount of loan they have to take from 40 lakhs or 50 lakhs to maybe 25 lakhs or 28 lakhs or 30 lakhs. And they reduce those loans by 10 lakh or 15 lakh or 20 lakh rupees, and that makes a big difference to them, to their parents, to their families. And that's awesome. We don't charge them anything. It's absolutely free. Utilize our platform, secure your scholarships, and go study wherever you want to study. And take a smaller loan or burn through less of your savings, or however it impacts you, however it helps you, go ahead and do it. And yeah, so a lot of the students that come through our platform are now from India and from tier two and tier three cities. We have a very large and growing presence in India. Yeah.
That's interesting. And like you said, that you don't charge the students per se who are on your platform. So then how do you guys earn if you don't earn from the students?
So we actually charge universities a monthly fee to be on the platform.
Okay.
Secure My Scholarship kind of acts like a conduit between universities and students.
Right.
So what we actually basically figured out was that a lot of universities have scholarships, have fee waivers available, but students don't know that these exist. So how can we kind of connect these two and build a brand and a platform around that? So for universities who anyway have scholarships, anyway have fee waivers, how can we kind of bring them on our platform and connect them with students who are anyway looking for these things at any given time?
So is it like a subscription model for the universities, like, or
Yes,
it's
somewhat. Yes, subscription model, and there's also a small performance-based fee as well that we
oh,
also charge them.
okay,
But it's almost entirely like monetized on the B2B side and not on the B2C side.
C side. Wow, yeah, that's amazing. That's a great insight.
Yeah.
So, you said like when you're giving scholarship to students, do you have any per se category that you need this percentage, or some kind of category where you pick and select people to provide the scholarship, or is it open for everybody?
Yeah, so I mean that's a great question. If a university wants to list on our platform, they have to list with a scholarship. I mean, there has to be a scholarship or a fee waiver that they're going to list with. If they can't provide us with the same, they cannot list. Now, if they are listing on the platform, not only do they have to apply with a scholarship, or list with a scholarship, they have to also list with a scholarship that is blanket. And when I say blanket, I mean available for all. So any student, if they apply to this university, will get this scholarship or will get this fee waiver. And so it's not kind of selective or selection based on any selection criteria or anything like that. If you apply to this university, you will get this scholarship. Of course, over and above that, there are other scholarships which you may qualify for over and above that. But when you apply to this university through our platform, there is a minimum scholarship that you will receive. And that actually is our strongest USP. And then, of course, whatever other scholarships you qualify for, then it can go as high as whatever. And that's kind of how it works.
So I think, yeah, that's a fair thing to do. Like minimum, of course. I mean, there has to be some competitive advantage.
Not Yeah, not just minimum, but also kind of guaranteed, right? Because it's not based on any selection criteria. So
Right.
if you apply, you will get this amount. Even if you don't qualify for any other scholarships, you will get this amount. it ensures that every single student that goes through Secure My Scholarship will receive something they will receive that will help them save some money on their university tuition.
Right. So, I don't know, in India, like we have quotas for like there's no as such, so much about scholarships here. But yes, of course, we have quotas for different categories. And I'm sure even abroad, like universities might be having like a sponsorship quota. So there will be limited seats for everything, right? I mean, they can't just give all the seats away in scholarships. So how do you manage these particular quotas with the intake of students that you take?
Yeah, I mean, I think let's take a step back for a second, right? So, the Indian higher education industry is actually pretty different in this regard because in India, the supply of students far exceeds demand for seats, right? So there's a lot more students who want to study than there are seats available, which means that universities don't actually have a problem filling seats. When you expand that and you look at global higher education, especially in places like the US and Canada and Australia and the UK and France and Germany and whatever, the problem kind of flips, wherein they have a lot more supply of seats than there is demand. And they're like they need to fill their seats, which is why they're actually willing to offer these scholarships, willing to offer these fee waivers to kind of attract students to their institutions. It's not a bad thing by any means, but it's also, I mean, let's not make any mistakes, but it's not altruistic in any sense of the word. There are kind of limited number of full scholarships or whatever, which are more altruistic and usually covered by donors in most cases. But these scholarships aren't altruistic. Let's not make any assumptions over there. They are purely promotion driven. The university offers them because the university wants students to come and study at their campus, and that's why they do it. Now, if a university is giving a student a 30% scholarship just because they want to attract them, okay, no problem. Because there's a student who wants to study and does not know that this 30% exists. And this 30% can make the difference between them actually going and not going. So, if the university gets a student and if the student saves some money, everybody's happy, basically.
That's right. And like, yeah, like you said, I mean, I wasn't aware of this thing that there's less of demand and more of supply globally because we've never seen this in India. It's always like a rush in the, colleges and everybody's just fighting in different quotas. So it's
Yeah,
very
and I know there's
different.
like entrance exams and this and
Yeah,
that and whatever. Like it's very competitive to get into
yeah,
university in India.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, they have very limited seats and, they allot in every quota. So it's very competitive here. But again, I mean, it was a nice new learning for me also. So, since like, I mean, Secure My Scholarship has achieved tremendous growth. And as we can all see with the numbers, and that also in a very short time. But
Oh,
of course, I mean, with growth, there are definitely challenges as well. And
yeah.
so, yeah, and as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you must have faced the toughest challenges in scaling up so quickly. So, what were a few of these challenges and how did you overcome them?
Uh, I mean, I guess just before I get into just before I answer your question, I think just a preface. Um, there's always challenges, right? I think like when you're building anything, if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? So there's always challenges, always difficulties, all of that stuff. But I think the two biggest challenges that we sort of faced were number one, I think just raising capital in order to actually, because Secure My Scholarship is pretty operations heavy. There's a lot of student support, a lot of university support that we provide outside of just the website and application and all of that stuff that you see on the website on the platform. There's a lot of other support that we also provide. So it's very operations heavy. And so I guess raising capital was a big challenge that we had to overcome. And Lock&Stock never raised any capital. Lock&Stock was bootstrapped through and through, and everything that Lock&Stock did, we did just bootstrapped. But for Secure My Scholarship, we had to raise, and for all of us, I think that was myself especially, because I had to spearhead that effort. It was a very challenging, I think, very challenging time in terms of reaching out to investors, trying to put a round together, all of that stuff. So that was a huge challenge, and I think if we didn't succeed in that, I mean, I don't think there would be a Secure My Scholarship. So the fact that I'm here telling you these stories is testament to the fact that we were able to overcome this. That's number one. But number two, I think, is really just company dynamics, and I think company just how we operated. Uh, we faced a very peculiar challenge, I think, that we didn't quite anticipate. And it's that our model actually is rather unique. There's no other company that really quite does what we do. And so when we launched here in Dubai and here in the UAE, within 12 months of launching, we became the largest education platform in the city, in the country, bar none. And we just grew so rapidly within the first 12 months that it was amazing, literally, and things were moving like this. Uh, and what happened then was a rude awakening, because now we're here in the UAE and we've really focused our efforts and we've kind of like grown really rapidly. Now we're the largest education platform in the UAE, and we still are the largest in the UAE. But the UAE is not that big of a country, right? The entire population of the UAE is smaller than Pune. Forget Mumbai or Delhi or whatever, smaller than Pune. So what are we gonna do? Right. And because we reached that point so quickly, growth then began to like taper off per se. And that kind of like raised some alarm bells, yada yada, whatever. And that's kind of what prompted, of course, Secure My Scholarship by its very nature is a global platform. Every single month, we have between 30 to 40,000 students from about 25 to 30 different countries coming to Secure My Scholarship every single month. So Secure My Scholarship is a global platform, but in terms of what drives the growth and where we have to focus our time and our energy, that's actually what led us to India. And so kind of like we had to juggle this kind of like rebalancing act where we have to now maintain our position. Or this was like a year and a half or 2 years ago, where we had to kind of like maintain our position as the largest edtech platform in the UAE, but also kind of make inroads into India, which is an extremely just competitive market and just very busy. There's a lot of things happening and whatever. So we had to kind of establish a beachhead and then grow from there. And I think we've come a long way in terms of doing that, but that was an incredibly difficult exercise for us. And I think those two were probably the biggest challenges. Yeah, just raising capital and expanding into India out of necessity, really. And yeah,
India is definitely a tough field for anybody, I think. But
it
again,
is.
it's the biggest one. I mean, there's so much to explore here.
Yeah, yeah. I think just on that note, I think India is the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
When we kind of looked at where should we go next, we looked at Saudi, we looked at Oman, we looked at Bahrain, kind of like the GCC, the near abroad, whatever. And a
Yeah.
lot of people said, don't aim too high, kind of like go like after whatever, Qatar, Bahrain, these are like easier markets. But you know, I've never been one to think conservatively or to think, okay, we take the take small steps or safe steps or whatever. I think that's bullshit. So I've never been one to think that way. And also, I mean, I'm Indian, and our entire
Yeah.
like core team, or most of our core team, actually, not our entire, most of our core team is Indian as well. And so, we just said, okay, we're Indian. I can go to India and come back whenever I need to. I know I have a lot of family and friends and whatever in Mumbai. Let's do that, right? Because if we can pull that off, I mean, India's high risk, high reward. Let's take the
Right.
bet and let's see how it goes. and that's kind of what we did.
Great. So, how much percentage of India contributes to your, success, if I can ask you that?
Yeah, I think right now India contributes, I think just on a pure numerical basis,
Yeah.
India, I think about 55 to 60% of our traffic today comes from India.
Wow.
The UAE being the second largest, India being the largest, the UAE being the second largest.
Yeah.
And India is definitely also our fastest growing. So India is the largest source market for us and is also the fastest growing. And so it will extend its lead at the top, I think. And today, actually from just Mumbai before to
Mhm.
now, having people in Mumbai, Pune, Surat, Ahmedabad, Amritsar, Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and yeah, basically just all over India. Yeah, we're really investing a lot of time and effort into growing our operations and growing our reach on the ground in India.
Interesting. Interesting. So, like, do you have like the cities that you mentioned in India? Do you have like a kind of office per se physical setup, or it's like everything's online for
Everything is
people?
online. From not just Secure My Scholarship, but even Lock and Stock. We've always kind of been remote first, online
Okay.
first. I guess, I don't know, maybe this is cultural or generational or something, but I've never really believed in an office, truth be told. I think that's actually kind of like a waste, not only of money, but also of productivity. Telling people you have to come to an office, you have to go home, this, that, there's so much of wasted time and wasted effort in that process. So wasted time, waste of effort, waste of productivity. We're very different from a cultural perspective. Every single person at Secure My Scholarship is told, you can start your day whenever you want, you can finish your day whenever you want, you can
Yeah.
work from wherever you want. You basically have full autonomy to kind of do whatever you want and work whenever you want and from wherever you want, as long as you're delivering results, and
Right.
that's it. And if we had an office, it wouldn't be like that. That I think unique identity of what kind of makes Secure My Scholarship a special place to work at would go away overnight. And I don't know, me personally, it's not something that I want us to lose. So yeah.
And that's absolutely okay. I mean, you are the leader, you are the visionary here. So, whatever suits your vision is the best for you.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so, like, since you were telling me sometime before when we were talking about, the profits, like prioritizing students over profits, you mentioned something. And since India is the biggest contributor, like we spoke right now, so I mean, there's going to be a lot of competition, and edtech is like booming. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, there will be a lot of struggles in terms of sustainability. And like India, if we say that, if you want to compare with India, how do you think that you can be resilient to the competitive industry in India? And I think you were mentioning something about the Indian edtechs also, that since you guys are into B2B rather than B2C in terms of making profits, but like you said that there are some Indian edtechs which don't do that. I mean, it's like getting profits from everywhere, not leaving even one part of the whole transaction.
Yeah.
So if you can, name some of these edtechs which you feel are like a competitive, they are in competition with you guys, and like, what's your view
Yeah.
about
I think there's a lot to unpack there, right? So I think just to take it one by one, I mean, Secure My Scholarship technically has no pure competition. And I say pure competition in the fact that there is no platform like Secure My Scholarship that exists, a platform that solely exists to connect students with scholarships and fee waivers. Um, so in that regard, Secure My Scholarship has no peer competition. But that being said, of course, like that's not really true in reality, because theoretically speaking, anybody who competes for a student's attention is technically a competitor. and there are a lot of those guys, right? So a lot of people vying for students' attention, a lot of people trying to grab students' focus or whatever, make students spend money or whatever. So there's a lot of competition in that area, and that's really who we are competing against and who we are trying to stand out amongst. Um, so I mean, yeah, that's just the competitive landscape. But I truly think that if you can just build, a good brand with a good NPS score, Net Promoter Score, and just good reviews and good interactions and a good user experience. And I think, as Jeff Bezos said, the customer always comes first. So just good customer satisfaction, I think you will naturally be able to stand out. It might take some time, but eventually you will be able to stand out. So, that's just how to survive in a competitive landscape. But I think in terms of really balancing profitability with growth, uh, because and I guess again, just coming back to what we spoke about earlier, because of the lessons that we learned with Lock and Stock, and because Lock and Stock operated bootstrapped for 4 years, it basically kind of imbued this sense of financial discipline um, in us as an organization. And sometimes, like I'll get on a call with like some of our shareholders and investors, and they'll actually say, like Craig, you're not spending money fast enough. You got to spend money faster than this. You got to grow faster than this. And it's so anthema because when we were building Lock and Stock, we basically, along with growth and everything else, we really, really prioritized financial discipline, and that was extremely, extremely important to us. And so now with Secure My Scholarship, a lot of those values kind of carry over to the point wherein, okay, fine, yes, we want to grow fast, but we also want to balance the books. We are EBITDA positive, yes, but we're not really looking to generate huge amounts of profits or anything like that. For us, as long as we can remain cash flow positive and EBITDA positive, as long as the numbers are breaking even, and as long as we're not burning cash, we'll reinvest everything back for growth, right? That's okay, but we don't want to burn money in essence. It shouldn't come to a point where, okay, fine, we have to raise a large amount of capital just to survive. Um, we don't want that, right? So that's, I guess, how we're able to maintain that balancing act. And I mean, yeah, I guess, you asked about, like, I guess, a few competitors who I guess are very shark-ish, I suppose. And I mean, the Indian edtech sector is full of companies like that. I actually think that there are as many, if not more, bad examples in Indian edtech than good examples. I think just very poorly run companies, or just companies that I guess just prioritized the wrong things. And I mean, if I had to name any of them, I mean, who better to name than Baiju's or White Hat Junior, which I mean was at one point in time the standard bearer for everything right, for the standard bearer for the entire Indian startup ecosystem. But over time, just I don't know, lost sight of what was important, lost sight of the focus. Um, I think honestly, truth be told, just raised too much capital and then was under too much pressure to justify those valuations. And that pressure led to them doing things that they probably shouldn't have done. And whatever, just became this like circular effect in essence. But I think Baiju's and White Hat Junior, I think, are the chief examples. But I won't name any others, but I think a simple Google search will reveal many other companies who I guess just don't give. There are a lot of great people in Indian in the Indian startup ecosystem and in Indian edtech as well. I think companies like Emeritus are fantastic companies. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of great people and a lot of great companies. But I think there are bad companies as well that give the entire sector um, just a bad name. And yeah, that's just the truth of it. So
All right, interesting. So, like, since you said that, you guys don't, you just want to break even and, it's not everything about profit. But I don't know, Craig. I mean, is it realistic to have such goals? I mean, you need to take, as a founder, even you need to take something back home, right? You are
yeah,
not doing this for
yeah.
charity.
I mean, that's true. That's true. But I think just on that note, like I pay myself a salary, right? It's not very large. It's actually one of the lowest salaries on the team, and that's
Okay.
okay because I'd rather there are a lot of people who are smarter than me and more talented than me who do amazing things here within the company and who believe in the mission, and
Mm-hmm.
like I'd rather we pay them a lot more than or we pay them what they deserve as opposed to pay me an exorbitant salary or something like that. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But I take a salary just so, because I also have to balance my own budget as well,
Right.
of course. But yeah, I mean, in terms of running up a profit, a huge, humongous profit or whatever, um, we could do that. We sacrifice growth because we wouldn't reinvest as much, but we could do that. And in that sense, we'd basically pay ourselves dividends, I suppose. And that's what we do. But it really depends on what you want to build, right? Because um, for me, building a company that paid out dividends or whatever, it's not really very attractive. Like that's not really something that I wanted to do. I wanted to build a very large company, a very large enterprise that also had the potential to impact thousands of people's lives, but a very large enterprise nonetheless. And you can only do that through continuous growth and just continuous reinvestment. Over the last 7 years, and because Lock and Stock kind of pivoted into Secure My Scholarship, they really are one and the same, and they form the same story. But 7 years ago, we started Lock and Stock with about 10,000 dirhams or $3,000. And today, the enterprise value of that is 24 million dirhams or $6 million. So we've taken $3,000 and turned it into $6 million, or 10,000 dirhams and turned it into six or 24, 10,000 dirhams and turned it into 24 million dirhams. And that makes my equity a lot more valuable, right? Because I have shares in the company. And similarly for other people, our senior team, our core team, other people with ESOPs, the value of their equity is also very valuable. And that's the end goal, right? Okay, today earlier this year we raised capital at a $6 million valuation. That's awesome. The aim is, hopefully 12 months from now, we raise another round when we're ready at a 30 million or $40 million valuation. And then we go from there, right? And we keep building and we keep building. And the enterprise value becomes larger and larger and larger. And all of our shares and all of our equity also becomes larger and larger and larger. That's what we kind of want to build. And I mean, the aim is not to take home like dividends or whatever. It's to build a large enterprise. And hopefully someday, maybe, I can sell a few of my shares, and whatever, and not just myself, other people within the team as well can also sell some of their shares. And, that's then, a huge payoff, for many, many years of very hard work. So,
Amazing, man. I think I don't, I mean, I actually termed you very well that you are a visionary leader with the kind of vision that, you just stated out. It's amazing. I mean, it's going to be great working with you, whoever's working with you. I guess people worship you for that.
I don't know about worship, but I hope that people like working with me, and I love the people that I work with. So yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So, I mean, you've been featured in Forbes 30 under 30, and that's a massive achievement, yeah. So, do you feel that these accolades add pressure to maintain success, or they do you feel that they create more opportunities?
Um, uh, No, I don't think they add any pressure whatsoever. It really depends on the person. I'll speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else. But for me, they don't add any pressure. And the reason for that is, at the end of the day, I truly think that awards and I mean, okay, I think just to rattle off, I guess, like a highlight reel. I mean, Arabian Business Future Star Award 2019, Forbes 30 Under 30 2023, Young CEO of the Year 2021, bunch of other awards, been featured on CNN, Arabian Business, Mashable, Esquire, Tech Radar, and like 40 something other media publications in India, been featured in India Today, DNA Today, a bunch of platforms, whatever, like media organizations, whole bunch of like stories. But all of these things, I think, are an output, right? So I think that if you work hard and if you put in the effort and if you build what you want to build, and if you truly if you're able to execute on what you want to execute, then these things will naturally come. Like you don't have to seek them out or anything. These things will naturally come. That Arabian Business Award that I mentioned, I didn't apply for that. Just got it. The Forbes 30 Under 30 thing. I applied for that and then I had to go through a small process or whatever. But then I forgot about it and I didn't hear from them for 6 months and I forgot about it and didn't really care as well until somebody from there reached out. So uh, I mean if they happen, they happen. If they don't, they don't. And that's and that's my viewpoint on this. They don't create any pressure or anything. It's not really like uh, I'm seeking them out or anything like that. If I don't win the award, no problem. If I don't get mentioned in whatever, like on a media publication, that's okay. All that is just motivation to just work harder. And it's okay. I'll get it the next time, no problem. I think the analogy goes to any successful sports person. I'm a very big cricket fan, I think, a very big cricket fan. And, you know,
That shows
with-
you're a true Indian.
yeah, yeah, played cricket in high school as well, so love cricket. And yeah, uh, Vi- Virat Kohli, whether he wins the World Cup or he doesn't, is it doesn't mean like like it adds pressure to him or anything. He's still going to just show up and practice and do the right things right. First one on the training pitch in the morning, last one to leave in the evening or in the night. Puts in the effort, works harder than everybody else, and that's why he is who he is. And if he wins the World Cup, he wins the World Cup. Finally won a World Cup. I mean, okay, outside of 2011, finally won a World Cup earlier this year, and that's amazing. And that's just reward for so much of hard work. And hopefully he wins an IPL sometime soon as well. But whatever, right? Like those things don't matter as long as you put in the effort that you put in. I mean, everybody knows that Virat Kohli is the best batsman in the world, regardless of whatever. So it's the same kind of logic or mantra over here. Whether the awards come or they don't come, you wake up every day in the morning and you work hard. You put in the effort every day, every week, every month, every year, and when they come, they come. And that's it. Don't worry about that. Right?
That's a great advice, and even Virat Kohli is one of my favorite cricketers. Not saying because his wife and I share a common name. Yeah, just based purely on his skills. He is amazing.
He's amazing. Yeah, a role model, I think,
Yeah,
for anybody, whether you're an athlete or an entrepreneur or just anybody. I think Virat Kohli, what he brings to his craft
yeah.
is something that I think anybody can emulate, I think.
And I think you shared a great anecdote there by comparing sports to, business. And it's all about a sportsman spirit, yeah. At the end of the day, you got to keep going. There's going to be failures, there's going to be setbacks, but what's life without that?
Yeah. That's okay. Literally, that's okay. And you just gotta keep moving forward, right?
Right. So on this note, like you have raised $1.2 million in capital. And what would be your advice, or like I say, Nuskas, to the aspiring entrepreneurs who are struggling to, convince the investors for their startups or their businesses?
That's a great question, man. I think to answer that, one of my favorite movies of all time is Rocky Balboa. I just like the Rocky series. I think sports movie as well. I love sports or whatever. I like the Rocky series. Rocky Balboa is one of my favorite movies. And in that movie, there's this great scene where Rocky is talking to his son, and he says these words that I think just carry over, and are just very meaningful in their own right. And he tells his son, he looks his son in the eye, and he tells his son, let me tell you something that you already probably know, right? The world isn't full of rainbows and puppies and unicorns or whatever. The world is a mean and nasty place that is designed by its very nature to knock you down time and time again. But it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. I mean, nobody cares about that. It doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. Um, it matters how many times you can get knocked down and keep moving forward. And that's how winning is done. And I think that's for anybody who's looking to build a startup or find product market fit or raise capital or anything literally. It doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. It doesn't matter how many times you were told no. It doesn't matter how many people hate your idea or reject you or hang up on you or whatever, or don't respond to your emails. It doesn't matter, right? The only thing that matters is how many times you can get knocked down and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. That's how you will raise capital. That's how you will build a startup. That's how you will find product market fit. That's how you will do anything in life. And that's the one advice that I'd give to any entrepreneur and any founder, um, regarding any of this stuff, raising capital or anything else.
That was amazing. Yeah. I mean, just keep moving ahead no matter what.
No matter what, literally no matter what, just keep moving forward. And it will take if you keep doing this consistently, it will take a week or a month or a year or a decade,
Yeah.
but eventually you will get there.
Right. Eventually, it all fits in right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. So, just one last question, Craig. So,
Yeah.
we've spoken so much about all your successes and your growth and the good part. But for me, I feel growth is where when there's something bad, and out of that we learn lessons. So, like you told me, there were few of such students, probably like 1% or 5% out of the total, who were not happy with your platform. So, what was the reason, and what did you guys learn from it, and how did you tackle these situations?
I mean, in most cases, actually, truth be told, it's not really even much to do with us. Or actually, okay, in some cases, actually, it is to do with us. I'd split them really into two buckets. In some scenarios, there's the university that doesn't honor the scholarship that they've listed, and that's not a good thing. And students are very, very upset about that. Students are not happy. This is what they were promised, and they don't receive it. They don't receive it. Um, so in those scenarios, I mean, we have to tighten our process. We go back to the university. I mean, there's nothing really that we can do except apologize to the student over there. There's nothing that we can do. But we go back to the university and we draw a red line and we say, listen, like this happened. It cannot happen again, or you will be off the platform. Like we don't care. And that's just like a red line or a hard stance that we take with universities that kind of do that. And I mean, it happens every once in a while, maybe, and there's not much that we can do. So that's some scenarios. In other scenarios, there is, because there's a lot that goes into it, right? Because through Secure My Scholarship, the ideal scenario is if a student knows which university, which course they want to go to, they just need the scholarship. It's very fast. But every once in a while, there are students who, maybe need some more help with picking a university or need some more help with understanding the costs associated with university. Maybe there's some students who need help with their visa or whatever. Maybe some students need help with their SOP. So there's a bunch of different things. And we actually offer all of these support services in-house for free. Like we don't charge students anything for this. We offer
Wow.
these to students for free as well. If you need these, no problem whatsoever. You can utilize these services. Um, but I mean, sometimes, there's some miscommunication or whatever. There are human beings who kind of like oversee this. There are human beings on our side of the equation and on the other side, which is the student, sometimes the parents, or maybe a spouse or whatever, on the other side. And because there are human beings involved, sometimes there are miscommunications. Sometimes, I don't know, somebody is on leave or something. Maybe they're on annual leave or on sick leave, or maybe there's a miscommunication. And I don't know, right? There's a whole bunch of different things. And uh, there might be a misunderstanding, and the student might get upset. And that also happens sometimes. It's just something that we have to accept. Um, uh, I mean, yeah, unless like everything is fully automated or whatever, but we don't want to do that, right? Because the we can automate what we can, but there are some elements of the process that we'd rather keep in human control, because this isn't like selling handbags or ordering a meal or something, right? This is your future. You're
Right.
spending tens of lakhs, some cases maybe even almost up to a crore, um, on this, on your education, on your degree. So it's high stakes, and there's a lot on the line. And we want to make sure that if you're a student, you have there's a degree of, okay, fine, information and expertise, yes, but also a degree of empathy as well. And a machine can give you, I guess, information. It mostly is right, sometimes can be wrong, I guess. But it doesn't have, I think, what human beings have, which is that intuition, that understanding, that empathy, that comes with only a human brain, and more than that, only a human heart can bring to the table. And so that's why we maintain, like it's fully human operated, something like most of these services. But I guess we just have to accept the fact that sometimes there might be misunderstandings, and that's okay, right? We'll go back to the student. We'll apologize. We'll try to maybe offer the student like a voucher or something additional or whatever, just to say sorry. And that's all that we can do, right?
So yeah, I mean, just to reiterate the whole fact, I mean, I really appreciate the thing that you said that you draw a line to the university, and that's a really big step. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, taking it's of course a business at the end of the day, and just for like one student, if you're drawing a red line to that university, it's a big thing.
yeah.
Totally. And
If it
yeah, I
happens,
mean,
the
yeah,
the reason for that, man, is because if it happens to one student today, it could happen to another student tomorrow,
right,
right? So we don't want that. Like we don't want like that. So we take a hard call, and more often than not, actually, the universities also comply. And they say, okay, we're like our bad on this, whatever. They might come back and actually just rectify their own mistake, or if
right.
they can't do that because there's some bureaucracy on their end, they just commit to not repeating it again in the future, and it's usually okay, I think.
Right. I think, yeah, all of these small things do happen. I mean, you have to see the bigger picture. But yes,
Absolutely.
compensating the student and, doing these little bits also adds to a lot of, um, you know, it adds a lot. I mean, it just, it's the whole package, the whole experience that matters for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was great chatting, and that's a wrap with this amazing, inspiring conversation with Craig Fernandes, guys. He is, again, a visionary who's bridging the gap between students and opportunities through innovation and sheer determination. That's all I can say.
I think Anushka, your description of me does flatters me more than I deserve, perhaps. But thank you for that, and thank you to everybody who tuned in for this podcast. I really appreciate all of you guys, and Anushka, thank you so much for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
My pleasure, yeah. And I mean, I feel just that Craig's journey is a testament to the power of passion and purpose. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more such thought provoking conversations. And of course, I mean, I'm going to attach Secure My Scholarships link below in the description box. So go, please check it out. And yeah, I mean, get yourself registered if you're looking for some further education. And yes, of course, follow me on Instagram, subscribe my page, and thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, keep dreaming big and building boldly. So, yes, until next time, stay curious, stay receptive. Bye bye.